It's also a final at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. as VCU takes care of George Mason 68-63. A victory for Ryan Odom and his Rams, a 1v2 matchup that we saw today in the A10 title game on CBS, a game that was called by Kevin Harlan and Dan Bonner. And speaking of Dan Bonner, he joins us now on CBS Sports HQ. Dan, what a game that you were able to see courtside. It looked intense, physical, it was close, and that was just us watching it on TV. What was it like where you were at?
Well, Tommy, it was really, intense is exactly the word to describe it. And it was so physical, I was afraid at one point that Matt Shulga was going to have his head taken off by Jalen Haynes. But this is a conference championship game. These teams knew that the loser wasn't going anywhere, and so that's exactly the way both teams played the game.
And it just seemed watching the game, Dan, that there were opportunities for the Rams to add a little bit more margin, yet George Mason just kept coming on back here. What was the difference toward the end of the game?
From George Mason,
well, I think the difference toward the end of the game is VCU's A10 Player of the Year, Matt Shulga. He really made some plays at the end. When it was time for him to shine, he really did. He missed some shots early in the game. I thought he passed up some shots early in the game. But he and Jack Clark and Joe Bamisil, those three guys were key down the stretch. And the VCU defense saved them all day, and it saved them again.
All right, Dan Bonner with the very latest there. What he saw, a terrific game with Kevin Harlan on CBS. Dan, certainly appreciate it. A reminder about the selection show in the men's bracket, CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. It's coming up tonight at 6 Eastern, and keep it right here on HQ. Much more analysis coming right up. This just in, it's trophy presentation time in the Atlantic 10 Conference. VCU beating George Mason 68-63. Second tournament appearance for the Rams in the last 3 years, and third A10 tournament title. They also did it in 2015 and 2023. Back here on set with BJ Taylor as the celebrations continue out there at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. VCU and George Mason, it was conference championship on the line, NCAA tournament berth on the line, and the top two seeds, and it played out that way today.
Exactly. It's always awesome when you get two regular season champs, right? Two teams that tied for the regular season conference title meeting in the conference championship, and what a battle it was. I mean, the Atlantic 10 is known for being almost the baby Big East in terms of physicality and toughness, and that's exactly what we saw today. We saw a battle of two groups who left it all out on the line. Give a lot of credit to George Mason for the way they fought. The VCU defense was just absolutely suffocating, though. They've been that way all season long. They continue to apply amazing ball pressure. They heat the ball up. They make things very uncomfortable for their opponents. So even on a day like today, where VCU didn't have their best offensive game outside of Max Shulga, the A10 Player of the Year, Joe Bamisil, go along with Jack Clark, those were the only three guys who really had good offensive days. Everyone else really struggled. VCU is still able to weather that storm because they were so good defensively. George Mason was held to 34% from the field, Tommy. You want to give your stat on layups?
For the Patriots, they were 5 of 25 from layups, which means that they missed 20. And at one point, BJ, 14 straight.
Yes, and it sounds like they missed a lot of open bunnies. They didn't. They were challenged at the rim. Everything was contested. Anytime they looked to get downhill, Jalen Haynes fought hard for his 17 points he scored here today. So VCU is going dancing. I think if you ask a lot of people in the college basketball community, they've really been the best team in the A10 all year long. I mean, this is a team that since February 1st has only lost one game, and it was by 3 points against Dayton, okay? That's nothing to sneeze at. VCU's playing good ball. Ryan Odom has these guys locked in, doing what they need to do. And when you look ahead for a group like VCU, they're currently projected as an 11 seed according to Jerry Palm. And, I mean, you look at the 6 seeds they'd be matched up with. You're talking about a Clemson or a Louisville who are coming out of the ACC, and we know the ACC hasn't been strong all year. Those are the only two teams outside of Duke that are going to make the NCAA tournament from that league. You look at Memphis. Memphis comes from a one-bid league in the American Athletic Conference, just like the A10 is a one-bid league. So no real step up in competition at a crazy level if you're VCU there. And then the only other option right now now in the sixth slot, according to Jerry Palm, is the Kansas Jayhawks. And Kansas is going through the worst year, the worst consecutive 2 years of Bill Self's tenure while he's been at Kansas. They're extremely flawed. So if you're VCU and you're sitting at home and you're a Rams fan, enjoy this celebration behind you today, all right? Because this may not be it. VCU can keep this thing rolling. I like their matchups in the first round, but without a doubt, congratulations to VCU today. Well-earned, well-deserving of this conference title.
That's what I was going to say here. How do you go from the highest of highs here and then turn things around and try to make some noise in the tournament?
I think the biggest thing, if you're a group like VCU, you take that underdog mentality and you run with it, all right? We remember back when they had Joey Rodriguez and the guys, and they made that deep run into the NCAA tournament. These guys have got to go out there and play with house money. It's no pressure. All those teams listed. You got two groups out of the ACC you might be matched up with. The pressure's on them, all right? Because everybody thinks the ACC is having a down year, so the pressure's on the ACC to prove that they're actually having a good year. Memphis and Penny Hardaway, they've never made any real noise in the NCAA tournament. There's a lot of momentum down there in Memphis that those boys from Bourbon Street need to make something happen. And then if you're the Kansas Jayhawks, could you imagine being in your worst couple of years under Bill Self and losing in the first round to the VCU Rams out of the one bid A10? Oh my goodness! Lawrence Field, Allen Fieldhouse might burn down. Okay, they might get struck by lightning down there at Allen Fieldhouse. Lawrence, Kansas would go crazy. So if you're VCU, continue to play defense at a high level, continue to heat that ball up, turn defense into offense the way they've done all season long. And if they do those sorts of things, they have a really nice shot against all four of those teams we listed.
They're playing good ball at the right time of the year, and they'll be entering the NCAA tournament winners of 18 of their last 20. So we told you about the selection show on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus, but we also will have you covered on CBS Sports HQ. The great Hakeem Dermish, Moose, Joe Musso, and I on college basketball co-host Matt Norlander will have you covered from our Stamford, Connecticut studios in just a little bit.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you.
Big news coming out of the NFL. A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
With highlights.
What a finish at the final round of play.
And in-depth analysis.
Can they three-peat? Tony Romo joins the conversation.
What can you say about this game?
When you need your sports in a snap,
we're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
Find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.